What's up? We're back. Tuesday. Hope y'all haven't gotten mushed too hard recently. Picks went pretty well last night. Turned a profit. It looked like 500 on the surface, but our parlay paid out more than our straight bet. We'll review that in a minute. It's Thanksgiving week. Our schedule's a little wonky this week. If you've been watching or following or watching on YouTube, MikeTheMush on there too. We post the VODs straight after we're done with the live show on Twitch. And if you're watching on there, Twitch TV/MikeTheMush. Come chat. The chat's fun. Thursday, we won't be streaming. There'll be no show Thursday on Thanksgiving Day because I will be doing my other podcast, The Link Podcast, at The Link_podcast if you want to follow that. It's available on Spotify, Apple, everywhere. There's so many podcast apps that I don't even know what they are, but it's available on them, I assure you. And I'm going to do a Would You Rather episode with my family on Thanksgiving. I'm going to bring all the equipment. We're going to record it. Thanksgiving-themed Would You Rather. It's going to be really fun. That podcast is great. It's audio only, but check it out. Follow that. You might like it. As for here, tomorrow we will do full breakdowns of the football games, the Thursday Thanksgiving Day football games. So it'll be like the normal Friday show, except a little shorter, and maybe we'll dive further into each game. But we will cover those games, and then Friday we'll be back with a normal football preview, weekend preview, see if there's anything else going on. So this week's a little topsy-turvy, but I don't think I've ever said that before. There's no way I've ever said topsy-turvy out loud. Oh, sounded good. But yeah, we'll push through. The only day we won't be on is Thursday. Not too many crazy amount of stories today, which leaves us some time for other things. But Iman did win Dancing with the Stars, apparently, so I hear. My parents watch it. Shout out to them. Good for Shump. Knicks. That's the best Knicks title they've gotten since the 70s. Incredible. Wow, what a moment. I only just realized that. It's really sad. Does he get a trophy? I should look that up. Let's look it up. Let's go. We'll talk about Wander Franco in a second. Iman Shumpert. D-W-T-S. I know that's not how it goes. Historic champion. Viewers are shocked. Oh, who's the underdog? That's amazing. Dancing with the Stars trophy. That's what I want to know. We got straight into it today, didn't we? 2 minutes in. We're looking up Dancing with the Stars trophy. There is a trophy! Look at this thing! That's sweet. Shump. No, this way. Here we go. Shump. Congrats. That's a thumbnail for an episode if I've ever seen one. Good stuff. I don't have a ton more to say about that, but I'm glad that he won. It's cool. Let's get into this Wander Franco contract. We'll talk about Monday Night Football. We'll recap the picks from last night, and I want to talk a little bit about college basketball because Gonzaga UCLA is tonight, Tuesday night, and then Gonzaga Duke, I believe, is Friday. So big week. I want to talk about those three teams, and that'll pretty much cover us for today. But we start here. The Rays signed Wander Franco, who's 20 and was a rookie last year and played in 70 games, to a 12-year, $185 million contract. Apparently the final season is like an option of some kind, and there is no trade clause, so it's capable of being traded. So this seems... Here's the thing. I have two frames of mind when it comes to this contract. The first being, remove this player and this team and this league from the situation. I think this is becoming a trend that won't go away, signing these mega long deals at a reasonable average value per season, so that in 10 years from now, a $20 million contract will be peanuts. We balk at these new deals every year, but the price tag goes up all the time. And because of that, people are going to be making All-stars are going to be making $40 million a year when Franco is still making $20 million a year and he's 30. It's a gamble. That's all this is. And I think teams are starting to understand that even if it goes poorly injury-wise, look, we'll talk about the Braves and Ronald Acuna because he signed I think it's on here. Yeah, 8-year, $100 million deal with the Braves. He's got to be looking around like, are you serious right now? I could have waited 2 minutes and gotten double what I just got. And Acuna was already better. We'll talk about the player in a second. But these types of deals are going to become more and more popular, and they make more and more sense. The price tags only ever go up. We're not in a spot right now where we're worried about the leagues necessarily. We went through a pandemic. The leagues did fine and are still signing mega contracts. They are not worried about money as much as they would have you believe. And for that reason, plus the reason that even if he gets super injured, this is why I brought up Acuna, he tears his knee, right? Most of the time, you come back from these injuries and you're okay. Modern surgeries and rehabs and stuff have gotten really, really good. It's not 1975 anymore where if you tear your ACL, you might not even fix it because what's the point? This is a year down at worst, it seems. Now, if the player doesn't pan out, that's a totally different thing, and we'll talk about that. But if you believe in the player, and he's going to be 32 at the end of the contract, even if the worst happens and he gets a catastrophic year-ending injury where he misses a whole season, he's still going to come back from that making more money than you're paying him. If he were a free agent, if someone tears their ACL, they're an all-star, in their contract year, I don't have an example of this. I could have looked one up. Maybe it exists. Someone tell me if it does. But in the contract year, they tear their ACL. They don't get paid. They're going to come back the next year, and absolute worst-case scenario, they're getting a $15 million one-year contract as a flyer. So even then, you're not giving up too much more than that, and you're locking up a guy forever that could be a star, and you get him on a major discount like is happening with Acuna. So I get and support a lot of these super long-term deals. Even Patrick Mahomes, $500 million, no big deal, because that guy is going to make a ton more than that. Now, football has a salary cap, so that's a little bit of apples and oranges, but the point remains that he is going to make more at the end of that contract than he will at the beginning. Now, if everyone starts signing these contracts, then no longer does it make any sense, because you might as well zag while people zig and just sign this short deals for guys that aren't going to get the 12-year deal. But we're not there yet. This is still so new that I think we're going to see a lot more teams do this with their stars. The Yankees did it with Aaron Hicks, which is a smaller example, but they signed him to like a 7-year deal, and people are like, what? And you just start to realize, like, if this is a guy that you believe will stay in the league and perform reasonably well, what would their free agent price be? And if you let them get there, you are going to overpay the next time. So if you're okay with being tied to this contract and with the risk that comes with it, then you're going to get a better price. So I support these types of deals. Now, this one is really weird for a couple reasons. One, it's the Tampa Bay Rays. They don't pay anybody, and they just ponied up $250 million at maximum. Where did this come from? I know they love this kid. They traded Willy Adames for him, who also is really good, just to make room, which I thought was a little wild. And now they're paying $250 million, and you're like, oh my god. Didn't Willy Adames have like really good numbers this year for the Brewers? Yeah, he hit 285, 20 homers. Yeah, he was definitely good for them. And he's a kid himself. So to me, when you realize this, you kind of start to go, oh, he had a 900 OPS for the Brewers, yeah. You're like, oh, okay. Well, we gave up someone, and we got someone better, definitely. But then we also paid him $250 million, which normally I support, but now we're doing it after 70 games, and we're the team that generally doesn't do this. It's a little bizarre, don't you think? 70 games at shortstop. And they gave him $250 million. Now let's look at his numbers. They're good. He hit almost 290. That's really good for a 20-year-old rookie. It's really good. His power isn't necessarily there, but he's a kid. He's still growing. He hit 810 OPS. I mean, that's good. 70 games, 300 plate appearances. His OPS plus is good. His numbers are good. How is his fielding? Fine. Not great. I mean, he's better than average, but why this weird rush for him, you know? I'm not saying he's not a good player, and I need to see more of him, of course, but you didn't have to go to arbitration for 3 more years. And he couldn't become a arbitration 2024 and couldn't be a free agent until 2027. Now, those years between 2024 and 2027, you want to buy those out. I get that. But man, they're giving up something really big over the next 3 seasons just to prove that this is their guy, just to give him some motivation and belief, I guess. That doesn't go quite far enough to me. And in the postseason, he was unbelievable. 368, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. But that was 4 games. It was 1 series. This is... Because what if he turns out to be what he is this year, right? Which is good. And he probably will improve. But I don't think he's a power hitter. He's a solid shortstop. He's not a Gold Glove winner, so it seems. Now, maybe it just didn't show yet. I don't know. But it's not the contract that I don't like. It's this time and this team that seem weird. Like, why this and why him? They must love him. They must really love him. And they figure that if he can boost this OPS to 900 by next year and the batting average to over 300 by next year, then you're not going to get this price again. So maybe that's true. Personally, I would have rather waited a year or 2 years and given him $300 million instead of $225 million if necessary, because then you're so rock solid in your belief of what you're getting. But it's the Rays, and they try to pinch pennies, which I get, but then you're not really pinching pennies if you're paying $250 million. It's all very weird. Rays salaries. I mean, who made the most on their team this season? It can't even be close to... Yeah. Kevin Kiermaier at $12 million. And he's not going to be back. And then it's Zunino at 7, and all of a sudden you're like... It's just, there's been a lot of really good players to come and go from Tampa, and their team is awesome, and they're constantly good, and their front office is great. So there's no reason to question this, really. I guess they know what they're doing. But it just feels bizarre. That's all. That's all. I'm not saying it's bad. I like the idea. It just seems like a weird time, a weird place, and a weird player. Because I could see him moving to third base eventually. Like, if he's really that good a hitter and he's a mediocre fielder, a lot of the times those guys move to third and you let the better fielder play shortstop. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but all of a sudden you're not paying a premium position player, you know? I don't know. I can't decide, and I don't have to because we have 12 years. And they know more about him than we will. But it just feels bizarre. I mean, Acuna, you look at Acuna. He had much better numbers as a 20-year-old. Much better. OPS was 1,000 higher. He played 111 games instead of 70. But batting average was higher. Everything was higher. And he plays a premium position in center field. Or he was, I believe, at least at the time. No, he's playing left and center. And now he's gone to right. But, yeah, I don't know. And it seemed like Acuna was a more surefire thing than Wander Franco. And he gets $100 million over 8 years, and Wander gets so much more. And it hasn't been that long. That was 2 years ago. So I think they underpaid Acuna, and I think they overpaid Franco. And that will come out in the wash, as they say. But the long-term deals I like. So, whatever. We will be talking about this for many years. Another contract got signed. Taysom Hill signs a weird contract in the NFL. Now, baseball and football are apples and footballs, like we just said, but this deal was weird. $22.5 million in guarantees, which is really good for Taysom Hill, if you ask me. He's in his 30s. He was going to be a free agent after this year. He's not like this young guy that you're trying to figure out what to do with. He's just straight up not a quarterback, in my opinion. He would have become the quarterback by now. We had Breeze. He gets hurt. Hill couldn't really take that job away. They went to Jameis. They have Jameis. Jameis gets hurt. They go to Trevor Siemian. I know Hill's had some nagging injuries and stuff, but he's 32. He's not a quarterback. But he signs this flexible deal that next 4 years, if he remains in his current role, which he serves as backup quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end, as well as being a special teams ace, he will make the $40 million over the next 4 years with $22.5 million guaranteed. However, if he becomes the starting quarterback over the next 4 years, and who knows what the details of that are, it goes up to $95 million. This feels like just their way of getting him to sign the deal. That's not going to happen, right? But it's interesting how these clauses are getting. These contracts are going to get bizarre with guarantees and incentives and stuff like that. They're getting really creative, so I like that. Oh, Zach Wilson's going to start Sunday for the Jets. Just got an update. Nice. Flacco and Mike White get COVID, so Wilson forced back in. All right. We'll talk about that Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Salary cap incentive to get an extension done with Hill before his contract voided next spring. They would have been hit with a $9 million in dead money charges against the cap when his contract expired. So not only do they want to keep him for a couple of different reasons, because he's a gadget player and they don't know if they have a future quarterback at all. So if they strike out in the draft and free agency, you can start him, but then you have to pay him a ton. So still not going to happen. But the point remains, he's not only a player that they can use, but he's a good insurance policy and backup plan. So I get it. It's just it's an interesting thing to look at, how they're getting him to sign this deal based on, like, yeah, you might be our quarterback still, and he's 31 turning 32. Like, they would have decided by now, man. But hey, if I'm him, I sign that deal. I don't see why you need to guarantee him $23 million. I don't think he has that much impact on the team. But I don't know. Maybe he's great in the locker room, and special teams are more important than I give it credit for. And I don't know. It just seems weird. Let's get into picks from last night. This was our only L. And we'll get into what I realized about it after. I knew that they were playing Gonzaga today. I just didn't put two and two together that this would be a back-to-back. And because of that, they might take their foot off the gas towards the end to save people for Gonzaga. I should have put that together, but I didn't. And it cost us. So it's a lesson to learn about these back-to-back tournament-style games in college basketball. Same way we treat back-to-backs in the NBA, basically. Because UCLA was up, I wrote it down, 58-38 with 11 minutes left. Right here, if you don't believe me. And that would have covered 58-38, yeah. Peyton Watson. And they were fine, and generally these games, like, once you step on their throat, they just take care of these other teams. The other team puts their backups in to get them some time against a big school. That happens a lot. And they just wear on them and beat them down. That 20 goes up to 30, and that's where we talk about a lot, that I like these teams that are championship caliber as only 20-point favorites against trash teams instead of 30. So I like the 20. I just didn't factor in that they would just bench all their guys towards the end to save them for today, and they did do that, and it ended up being a 13-point win. So what are you going to do? We'll stick with that theory another time or two before changing gears completely. And maybe it's just not as good for back-to-back in tournaments and stuff. But we did hit the parlay, which paid out positive odds, so we did turn a profit on the day if you took all the picks. First, Celtics handled the Rockets. Jaylen Brown is back, so that's good for them. They looked pretty good. Rockets are a certified dumpster fire with no fire department on the way or even in the city. Timberwolves take care of the Pelicans. The Pelicans are more talented than the Rockets, but play worse. So that's pathetic. And I said I like Anthony Edwards just as much as I like Brandon Ingram, if not more. And Brandon Ingram just did not come to play in this one. Timberwolves are weird. They're not a good team, but they have talent. They can beat the bad teams. They're like a gatekeeper for the playoffs where they won't make. And then let's talk about football. And then we'll do some college basketball, and then we'll wrap up for the day. But this game was... I liked the Giants plus 11 for pool purposes, which we said yesterday, and I thought I could middle it by taking Giants plus 11 and Bucks money line. We did take the Bucks money line. I didn't take Giants plus 11 in any official picks or anything like that. And I did say, if you listen to the whole breakdown on yesterday's show, that there's a possibility that they just get after Jones and he turns it over and it becomes a nightmare and it just gets away from them. And he turned it over. They fumbled once. It wasn't him. It was Slayton. That guy has no hands. He's so fast, but he can't catch and he just fumbles. He's like, you can't really play him. And Jones throws 2 bad picks. And, what are you going to do? This Tampa Bay secondary is still vulnerable, if you ask me. Saquon Barkley came back and looked pretty good. Kadarius Toney looked pretty good. I hated the Galladay contract, and I still hate it. He didn't do anything. But, yeah, Brady just torched them, which we knew would happen. You figured 30 for Tampa was pretty much where they were going to be. I just thought the Giants could put up 20 points. They only put up 10. And they probably could have. So this is just a get-right game for Tampa. They haven't lost at home. They look really good at home. They should be gunning hard for that number 1 seed. And they seem like maybe the least flawed team of any, or at least the team you can trust the most. If I had to gun to head who's going to win the Super Bowl, it's Tampa. Because I know Brady will get his team going if he needs to. Now, he's older. He can make mistakes. I get it. But you run that risk with pretty much everybody. And I know I've been ragging on their secondary, and it's a real, real problem. But even in a shootout, I still trust Brady if his weapons are there. And it looked better with Gronk back. And they don't have a tough schedule.
To get that 7th guy to stop the run, but still play good pass coverage.
Eli, relax. Manningcast is pretty cool, but I'm also almost over it. I don't know if that's a hot take. Colts, Falcons, Bills, Saints, Panthers, Jets, Panthers. That should be, you have 7 wins. You should get 8. You should get 9, 10, 11, 12. And you figure if you split with Colts and Bills, you get 13. 13 and 4. That's probably good for the number 1 seed. And then you have to face them at home all the way through the Super Bowl. And I don't know if you're going to go on the road and beat Tom Brady. You might, but you better be gunning. You better be ready to run and gun, because that secondary is their weakness, and they got one of their corners back today, Sean Murphy Bunting, I think his name is. Yeah. And he looked pretty good, and it really helped them. And it really will. I think Richard Sherman is still going to come back too, so we'll see what happens with them. And Vita Vea didn't even play in this game, which is a huge loss for them, and the Giants should have been able to run the ball better. They didn't. This number is inflated by a 16-yard run by John Ross. Barkley should have gotten the ball more, but they were behind early, and they just couldn't do it. And then the Giants fired Jason Garrett today, which they absolutely should have done. They should have stuck to the run in this game, because Vita Vea wasn't there. It would have opened up play action and zone read stuff for Daniel Jones. He wouldn't have had as much pressure on him. You run Barkley into the ground, because you're probably not going to sign him next year anyway, and he's back from injury. He looked healthy. Instead, they threw it 38 times. And even if you're down a bunch to the Bucks, run it through the 3rd quarter, and then in the 4th, try to air it out. They just abandoned it. 13 carries. And a lot of those came early. And they just got completely away from it. They have lackluster play calling. They don't get Galladay involved at all, even though I'm not a huge fan of his, but still. They throw to Andrew Thomas for a touchdown, which I was wearing the Thomas the Tank shirt yesterday on the show. Check it out. Go back to the VOD. It's even in the thumbnail. And I said I'm wearing the Thomas shirt because Andrew Thomas comes back tonight and he scores a touchdown. Unbelievable. I can do that, but I mush every bet I make? What the hell? It was cool, though. So, yeah, I guess that's a creative play, but you're throwing to your tackle. It's like, this is what you want, and they fired Jason Garrett because of it. I can't even believe he had a job this long. I can't even believe they hired him in the first place. He is just so vanilla and bland and bad. They need a new quarterback. They need a new offensive coordinator. Let Joe Judge stay. See what he can do with something different. Let Barkley go. Remake this whole offense and see what they can do. because the defense is not that bad. I mean, giving up 30 to Brady when you turned it over 3 times, that's really not that bad. It's really not. They turned Brady over once, you know? What are they supposed to do? So, Garrett's gone. Jones will be gone next year. You can't possibly bring him back. Barkley, you can't pay. And at least now it looks like you have a path for the Giants to we're going to be terrible this year. We knew that. But the defense is solid. We can build on that. We can get a new quarterback. We can get excited for a new offense completely. This is the beginning of a good thing for them, I think. And Tampa is just going to roll. I really think they're going to roll. And we looked at the schedule. I love how the Giants just tweeted Jason Garrett has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator and nothing else. Amazing. No thank you. No anything. Just relieved of his duties. Yee. Let's look at this. I seem to think that Tom Brady is the easy pick for MVP. Now, those odds have shifted majorly to reflect what I'm about to say. But even at these odds, it's not bad. I still think Mahomes is worth a look at plus 1,000. Jonathan Taylor won't win. I mean, he's unbelievable, but Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards and 59 touchdowns last year. And he didn't even get a vote. Literally no votes for MVP. So that's just not going to happen. Josh Allen can't win. He's had too many bad games. He lost to the Jaguars, and he hasn't even looked good at all. Dak had 2 lackluster games in a row. I don't see that happening. Rodgers is still a possibility. Mahomes plus 1,000. Kyler's missed too much time. Stafford has had too many bad games. Herbert's had too many bad games, and this is all nonsense. So I think you could do all 3 right now and pretty much, not guarantee yourself, but you'd have a good shot at plus value if you took Brady, Rodgers, and Mahomes in some kind of capacity. Brady as your I'll break even if he wins kind of thing. Or you could just take Brady. I really think Brady at plus 270, he has no real blemishes on his record. They lost to Washington, but who cares? And he wasn't horrific in that game. Their defense was pretty bad. He wasn't good. He made 2 bad throws, but his bad game is probably better than a lot of other people's bad games so far, or at least on par, so we cross them all out. And I just see Brady stomping the rest of the season because he's angry. He looked angry last night, fired up, fist pumping, all that kind of stuff. So I think these odds are reflecting what I'm saying. I don't think you're getting a crazy steal. You would have earlier 2 weeks ago when I was still saying Brady's probably going to throw 50 touchdowns and be the MVP because that's just what Tom Brady does. But since everyone else has fallen off, it just feels free to me. But Mahomes at plus 1,000 is really interesting. Although they didn't look that good either. And Rodgers, of course. These 3 on the left, they're all lined up for you. I think that's worth a look. All right. We're moving fast today. The only other thing I want to talk about before we make our pick at the end, which is spoiled up here, don't you worry about that, is college basketball. Gonzaga is a 7-point favorite over UCLA tonight. I find that pretty wild. That's so much respect for Gonzaga, which they deserve. But I think I can pinpoint the reason why. First of all, they have to be a favorite. If you make it anywhere from 1 to 3, it's way too easy to take Gonzaga because that's barely really anything. Most of the time, free throws will bring you up to 5 even. So I guess that's why they go to 7, to try to force action on UCLA. It's an interesting matchup because Gonzaga is big. Holmgren is their new recruit. He is 7 feet and skilled. Now, he's thin. You can push him around a little, but he's skilled. And Drew Timme is still there, and he's 6'10", 235 and stronger. So I don't know, and he's an upperclassman. He's been to the tournament. They've gone deep in there. He knows exactly what to do. He's their real leader. Holmgren is getting a lot of hype, but Timme is the guy that's going to drive this team. And they have a couple of good guards. So they have enough guards to go deep with UCLA, who runs a lot of guards. So that's the interesting thing. Gonzaga, though, is gonna hurt you down low offensively. Now, they don't have unbelievable strength down low. Like, we'll see if Holmgren becomes that kind of guy. He doesn't look like a banger to me. He looks great. He can really shoot. He can score on the inside. His stroke is nice. Free throw percentage is good. He can shoot the three. But he's a little more Kristaps Porzingis-y than he is Joel Embiid, you know? He's not going to eat 15 rebounds for you, probably. Gonzaga wins by double digits. UCLA's overrated. Basically the same team that was an 11 seed last year. Very good, but not number 2 in the country, in my opinion. I think they're really good. Like, Juzang is really, really good. So for that reason alone, they are ranked, right? But they had a really top recruiting class, I think. I don't know which one of these guys are freshmen. And they have some big guards. That's the interesting thing, too. Like, they run this big lineup without bigs. Look at this. Guard, guard, guard. Their points per game. Guard, 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 guard. And then they have a center who plays 23 minutes a game. And they don't really run any forwards. But their guards are big, though. Because Juzang is 6'7". Jamie Jaquez, 6'7". Jules Bernard, 6'7". I mean, this guy's name's Tiger. He's 5'11", but he's named Tiger, so, and the hair counts for something. David Singleton, 6'4". That's a big guard. Jalen Clark, 6'5". That's a big guard. They're not actually small, but they play this small ball style because they have guys that can handle it and shoot the three. So whether they're overrated or not remains to be seen. I'm not saying you're wrong necessarily. But they're scary because they can stretch you out and score on you in isolation with guards against forwards. And then also they can rebound and get into the teeth of the defense because they're not actually small. 6'7" in college basketball is really big. So the UConn has a little bit of this too. And I'm just a homer, so I'll compare everything to UConn if I can. But Martin on UConn is like, yeah, he's a shooting guard, but he's gigantic. He's in the paint a lot. And so UCLA has something really interesting that I like. And then they have some recruits that'll pitch in. They're not as good as Gonzaga, but no one's ever as good as Gonzaga in the regular season, really. So yeah, I don't know. This game could go a lot of different ways, of course. And I wouldn't touch it on a pick or a bet or anything. I'll just watch it and really enjoy it. And I can break down Gonzaga Duke better than I can break down this game because it's such a clash of styles. UCLA could come out and rip threes. They shoot threes at 40%. Gonzaga shoots them at 35%. UCLA is going to try to go up-tempo, force Holmgren off the floor or to make a lot of decisions. I mean, they're going to play him. They're going to just try to clash styles, I think. Both these coaches are really good. I don't think either one of them is going to give in. The first half will definitely be like, Gonzaga's going to play Holmgren a lot. We're going to throw it in there. We're going to have a huge advantage on the inside, and we're going to bash you on the glass and with layups and dunks. And UCLA is going to run and gun. They're going to shoot threes. We're going to be faster. We're going to keep the ball moving. We're going to create mismatches on Holmgren and try to force him out of the game. And we'll see which coach blinks in the second half. I can imagine the first half is going to be wildly weird. Like, it could be close. It could be a blowout. It's just going to be weird. Two different teams playing different ways. And then in the second half, it'll settle down. So, I don't know. Gun to head, I actually probably take Gonzaga I take UCLA +7. I think Gonzaga's the better team. But I think getting 7 points in a game that's so topsy-turvy, I'm going to say it again for the second time on this stream because, second time's a charm, as they say. But I just think they could shoot better. And, they're going to get open looks because they're going to force Gonzaga to decide what to do. Now, if Gonzaga decides, okay, we'll just pull Holmgren off the floor and we'll beat you anyway, that would be kind of interesting. Because Timmy is still a load to deal with down there, so I don't know what they do. Maybe they stagger these two's minutes, they don't play together at all. That would be interesting. They just play one big on the floor, and if you're going to just swing the ball and shoot threes, then fine, but we're going to dunk every play. I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't bet this game. I would just end up taking the +7 because if there's such a clash of styles that I can't figure it out, it's I'd rather have the 7 than give the 7. It wouldn't shock me if this game's close. And I just love Juzang to control the game. And it's easier for a guard to control the game than a big to control the game, even though Timmy can handle the ball. So we'll see what happens. It should be really, really good. And it should be a measuring stick for both games, not win or lose, but just styles and how you can get at them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're right and UCLA is overrated. The chat is wise. The chat is wise. People know. I trust the people. I just can't wait to watch it. And then let's talk about Duke quick for a second. We've done them a little bit already. But the combo of Paolo Banchero, is it Banchero or Banchero? I mean, they're not going to have this, but Google might. But this is just a word. Let's see. Paolo. Pause it. Play it.
Paolo Banchero.
Banchero. It says American. Oh, he is Italian. American-Italian basketball player.
Paolo Banchero.
Banchero. I'm going to say Banchero. I trust Google. I don't know. Until I hear him say it, which I'm not going to do. I'm not going to look that up now. One day. Music back. Impressed that I remembered to put it back on. This team is also so different. So you have the one huge team. You have the one team that's willing to run and gun. And then you'll have Gonzaga Duke on Friday. And we don't have a line on that, and we'll talk more about it hopefully at some point, but maybe next week I'll touch on it on Monday or something because we lose Thursday because of Thanksgiving. But this is a team that I don't know if you can really game plan for. You just need to get out there and play well in isolation because Paolo Banchero. Did I get that? I don't even remember if I got it right. I don't know. But he's going to dominate you one-on-one. I heard him described as like a 6'10 Carmelo Anthony, and I loved that, which is terrifying. But he's going to kill you. And then Trevor Keels, if you try to cheat too much, he's so strong, he doesn't care if there's a 7-footer in the lane. He's going to go right at his chest. So they have guys that can score from the outside. They have guys that can go to the inside. They have some shooters. They haven't shown the ability to shoot the three that well yet, which I think is what you're going to need. No stream on Thanksgiving? No, I don't think so. I was thinking about doing one in the morning, but Wednesday we'll break down tomorrow, we will break down the Thanksgiving football games. So at least there's that, which I haven't even begun to break down, so that's a tomorrow problem. We'll worry about it. But this team, I don't know if they can shoot the three. It's the only thing I've been concerned with them. And if they get into a game where they fall behind and they start jacking them up and missing them, that would be really bad. So, like, I actually think UCLA is kind of a bad matchup for them. But then again, UCLA isn't going to be able to, not that they're playing them this week or anything, but I'm just trying to do this little triangle of teams, and I did a circle with my hand. There it is. I wish I could edit in the little, you get it. UCLA would be able to run and gun on them and trade 3s for 2s really well. In fact, better than they would match up against Gonzaga probably, because the 2s for Gonzaga are a little bit easier because they're always in the paint. Then again, Paolo Banchero is better than everyone on Gonzaga. I'm comfortable saying that, including Holmgren. So this Duke team's just weird. They're just going to try to break your will by isoing you over and over and scoring. And I said if they could figure out how to get the two-man gun going with Keels and Banchero. And Wendell Moore's really good, by the way. I don't particularly talk about him because he feels like an elite role player more than either of the other two guys. But he's really not. He controls the ball a ton for them. He actually paces them and lets these other two freshmen kind of handle as much as they can handle. And then it falls back on Moore when it needs to. And they have some supporting cast. Like, I still believe in Mark Williams to at least bang and grab rebounds. He's going to play a huge role in the Gonzaga game. absolutely huge. He needs to play well in the paint. They need him badly. Him and Theo John need to be... Is Theo John available? Theon John Greyjoy. I thought he missed a game. No, he played last night. They need to play so well. At times, they might need to... They won't need to put them on together, probably. But they need to really play well. And Banchero needs to win the one-on-one with Jutimi. That is pivotal. They need him to win it, and not only win it, but win it convincingly. And then you have Wendell Moore, hopefully out on the wing. Duke is... They have a lot of size, too, and strength. So they can match up size-wise with Gonzaga, which most teams can't do. And they can not only match up with them, but keep their ISO scorers and big hitters in the game while matching up with them. Some other teams are going to need to make adjustments. I don't think Duke needs to. The problem is if this gets up and down fast, it doesn't necessarily favor Duke. They want to play slow and in the half court. So can they slow the game down enough? And if they do slow the game down enough, is Gonzaga going to get easy buckets on the inside, or are Duke's bigs going to be able to stack up with them? I like Duke a lot. I think they can definitely win the championship, but matching up with both Gonzaga and matching up with both Gonzaga and UCLA, I don't like that for Duke. I think UCLA matches up better with Gonzaga than Duke does, because Duke is trying to do something similar and rely on isolation rather than team play, and it may work because they have serious NBA talent on this team. But Gonzaga is going to get more reliable open buckets that you can draw up, and I don't know if Duke is going to. And when you have that plus a disparaging difference in three-point percentage, I have to think that Gonzaga is happy about getting this Duke matchup when they do, especially early in the season. Banchero is going to get a lot better. He really is. And so is Holmgren on Gonzaga, but he can... I don't know. We'll see. My wager, if I could make it, is that UCLA keeps it closer than Duke does. I think Gonzaga might win both games. I think UCLA has a better shot to upset them than Duke does. But anything can happen. All these three teams are great. For my money, they're some of the best teams in the country for sure. I don't put Purdue above any of them. Kansas is arguable. That's my Mount Rushmore currently. Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas, and Duke. If I had to pick a Final Four right now, which I don't, thankfully, that would be it. But the Huskies are coming, baby. 22, we're coming. We are coming. Don't you worry. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I will talk about it at some point, maybe next Tuesday. Tuesday could be Super Tuesday for college basketball, could be a consistent thing. Because Monday and Friday are so football-centric and weekend-centric, and I like to slip in UFC if it's on and boxing and stuff like that. Anything that happens over the weekend, those days are jam-packed. Wednesday, I want to leave as a wild card for random topics that I like, although this week, of course, with Thanksgiving will be different. And Thursday, I would love to start doing some Throwback Thursday stuff, but we'll see if we can settle into a schedule that allows us to do that. There's only one thing left. It's today's pick. We do a pick every day. It's always at the end of the show, so make sure you tune in all the way through the end. Twitch.tv/MikeTheMush. Search Mike the Mush on YouTube. Subscribe. It would really help me. Watch the videos. Give me a thumbs up. It's actually only one. I don't want to do false advertising. Follow @thelink_podcast while you're at it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing the plugs before I do the pick because that just makes sense. That's how you sell things. I think. I don't know. I've never sold anything. One play today. Straight up pick. We're not going to screw with the Gonzaga UCLA game, even though it's great. There is one obvious pick to make. It seems easy. It really does. Why are the Lakers getting 7 points against the Knicks? The Knicks are at home. Knicks fans will get up for this game. I have no doubt about it. but they get up for every single game they play and then end up booing the team at the end. The Knicks give up a 20-point run every game. They lose to the Bulls. They tried to blow it to the Rockets. They only won by 7 against the Rockets, and they were home. The Houston Rockets. They lose to the Magic twice at home. Why are the Lakers only getting 7? I know the Lakers are also a dumpster fire, and I know LeBron is suspended and not playing in this game. And I'm not the hugest Westbrook fan this year and how he fits on this team, and I've said he needs to move to the bench, and once they figure that out, if they can have him as a bench spark plug, it'll work out great, blah, blah, blah. Go back to any of the other streams, and I've raved about it a bunch of times. But the Knicks still have to deal with Anthony Davis in this one. They still have to deal with Russell Westbrook in this one. They have to get up and down. They haven't defended bigs at all. I know Davis has a little injury, but I believe he's playing. Let's just double check this before I go out on a limb. He's not going to sit with LeBron out, I don't think. Not at the Garden. Oh, he's not playing. Wow. He's not playing. So there's no LeBron. This is interesting now. Okay. So we adjust. We adjust on the fly. This is why we do the streams live. The truth is, and I'm going to switch my reason why. And the Knicks should win this game. They should. But the Knicks should win a lot of games that they don't. I'm still going to take the Lakers. Here's how I do it. This is tailor-made now for the Carmelo comeback game at the Garden. Everybody comes back to the Garden and dominates. Everybody comes into the Garden. I went to see the freaking Cavs play, and Ricky Rubio dropped 35 on the Knicks. Everybody comes to dominate at the Garden. Carmelo has such a reason to do so. He was left for dead in this league, and he has come back this season and been really good. Really, really good. Better than he has before. He only played 10 games in 2018 and 19 and had to come back for 10 games with Houston because nobody wanted him. Literally nobody. He left the Knicks in 2016-17 scoring 20 points per game. He plays one season for OKC and the whole league gave up. Then he comes back for Portland, rehabs. This year he's scoring 15 points per game, 4 rebounds per game. He's not asked to handle the ball a lot. He's asked to shoot it. He's shooting 46% from 3. 46%. This is, it's so easy to see coming. And even Taylor Horton-Tucker, like someone for the, it could be someone random too. It could be Avery Bradley. Someone for the Lakers is going to come in and drop a ridiculous game that you're like, how does this happen? And so I'm sticking with the Lakers +7, even without Anthony Davis. I don't think Anthony Davis moves the line 7 points. I just don't. And I just don't even trust the Knicks to win this game. It's scary, but like, Westbrook's just going to go up and down on them. They have so much more talent, but they squander away everything. They give up huge runs every game. Mitchell Robinson's not playing. Taj Gibson's day-to-day. Derrick Rose is day-to-day. You're going to have a steady dose of Nerlens Noel? I mean, what does that do for me? What does it do? Dwight Howard could come in here and dominate the paint in this game. He really could. And I love the Knicks. I just feel like you'll get a lot more Dwight. You'll get a lot more DeAndre Jordan. Both of them will be the biggest guys on the floor. The Knicks can't rebound the basketball. They can't. And so those guys could actually have good games. Carmelo could score. Horton-Tucker's going to score. Westbrook's going to do his thing. It's pathetic, but at this point in the season, from what I've seen from the Knicks lately, unless they gel and turn it around and RJ Barrett can start shooting the basketball, which he hasn't been able to do at all, I don't know if I could lay 7 points with the Knicks against anybody. So this is more of a fade of the Knicks and a knowledge that everyone comes into the Garden and dominates. It's the Carmelo comeback game. I really think it is. The only thing I'm scared of is the Julius Randle revenge game, but he's already played the Lakers a bunch of times since he's been on the Knicks, I think, so I'm not as worried about that. And he always plays well. It's the rest of the team that can't seem to get it going. So, yeah, I mean, this is just banking on the Knicks not being as good as they should be, which is what they do every single night. I did think Anthony Davis was playing. He was ruled out late with illness, so that's tough. And when I pick against the Knicks without LeBron and AD, you know it's a bad time. And maybe the Lakers will just implode. But something tells me the Knicks will try to blow it. So go with Lakers +7. I still think it's the right side. I bet a lot of people will say, oh, both those guys are out. I'm going to sneak the Knicks money line into a lot of my parlays. It's something I would normally do, but I'm trying to zag when other people zig. And I'm going to take the Lakers. Call me crazy. In any case, we'll be back tomorrow with football breakdowns for Thanksgiving. There's 3 games. They all have their own interesting aspect. The night game is definitely good, or intriguing anyway. And who knows what could happen in any of these Thanksgiving short week games. It's like having Thursday Night Football 3 times. Is that good? I'm not really sure. But there's a lot of turkey and good sides, and I'm interested in all of it. Follow at MikeMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the Twitch page, twitch.tv/MikeTheMush. Follow the YouTube page. Search MikeTheMush on there. Subscribe for me. That would be great. We want to get this thing going. We want to get it bumping up. I want to take a lot more takes from the chat. Talk about that. We'll do calls eventually. We got a lot of ideas. I want to put the picks on the screen. I want to get some stats for those so that when the Lakers beat the Knicks tomorrow, I can say, I told you. Look right here. Or there. Or there. There. Here. It's hard. It's harder than it looks. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.